The nature of time, the reality of our universe. What does it all truly mean? Today, we dive into an incredible story that unravels these mysteries. In this tale, whatever a young boy sketches becomes real, even defying time itself, moving forward or backward. His drawings can summon clouds or much more, but how is this possible? The secret behind it all and the shocking twist at the end will leave you astounded. Let's begin this mind-bending story with a profound mystery. It all starts with a 10-year-old boy named Manny. Manny is unlike other children, quiet, withdrawn, and always absorbed in drawing. His artwork is dark and eerie, often depicting scenes of people or creatures meeting tragic fates. Manny's unsettling behavior has concerned those around him, and he is being taken to a hospital for psychological therapy to help him process the trauma of his past. However, no one yet realizes that Manny's drawings are far from ordinary. Now the story shifts to Mary, a seasoned psychiatrist who has recently moved to this small town from New York. She's looking for a fresh start, hoping to leave behind a painful chapter in her life. Whatever happened in New York still haunts her, but she's determined to move forward. Mary has come to this quiet town to escape her past and begin anew. Upon arriving, Mary enters her new workplace, a mental health facility. Her new colleague greets her warmly and shows her the therapy room where she'll be counseling patients. However, her co-worker is curious. Why would someone with Mary's experience choose to leave a bustling city like New York for a small town like this? Mary opens up, explaining her reasons for wanting a new beginning. The co-worker then reveals something unsettling. Not too long ago, a bizarre incident occurred at the facility, one so strange that a doctor had to be sent to a mental hospital themselves. Today, I had 2 therapy sessions scheduled, one of which was with Manny, a boy who refuses to speak and instead spends all his time drawing unsettling dark images. In each drawing, someone appears to be dying. Unlike my other patients, who usually draw people, Manny's artwork always portrays a mysterious figure. I decided to try and engage with him, hoping to break through his silence, but he remained focused on his sketching. Attempting to ease into conversation, I told Manny that while others might find him strange, I believe he's perfectly normal and that he should try to talk to people. To my surprise, for the first time, Manny responded. He said he doesn't like talking much and prefers to focus on his own work. Curious, I asked what kind of work he meant by drawing, to which Manny replied with a chilling statement. He said he controls everything around me. Confused but still calm, I asked him to elaborate, almost jokingly, telling him to list the things he's done. Manny, with eerie calmness, simply stated, "Your life is in my hands." I immediately brushed off his words, assuming it was the result of some deep-seated mental issue, something I'd likely explore further in upcoming sessions. But what I didn't realize then was that Manny wasn't speaking metaphorically. He truly had some kind of power, and my life, along with everything happening around me, was indeed in his control. Later that evening, I went to a local bar to familiarize myself with the town and to meet some of the locals. There, I was introduced to a man named Kiren, who was a friend of my coworker. We clicked instantly, and I found myself drawn to him. As the night went on, I decided that I'd like to see him again and headed back home with a sense of excitement. On my way back, however, something horrifying happened. I stumbled upon a gruesome car accident. A vehicle was engulfed in flames, and a man was desperately trying to pull someone from the wreckage. Mary wanted to help the man trapped in the burning car, but her past trauma paralyzed her. Fear gripped her so tightly that she couldn't move, her body shaking uncontrollably. Before anyone else could intervene, the car exploded and the man was killed in the blast. The weight of guilt hit Mary hard. If only she hadn't frozen in fear, she might have been able to save him. She realized that her unresolved past still held power over her, leaving her feeling helpless. The next day, Mary was still haunted by the tragic accident. While reviewing Manny's drawings, she noticed something that sent a chill down her spine. One of Manny's drawings depicted the exact car crash she had witnessed the night before, complete with the fiery wreckage and the figure of a man. Shocked, she asked Manny if he had drawn the scene after seeing it on the news or on TV. But Manny calmly replied that he had made the drawing in front of her the previous day, long before the accident even happened. Mary was taken aback. How could this be possible? The accident hadn't occurred when Manny made the drawing. She began to wonder if it was just a coincidence, but then Manny said something that made her blood run cold. "I made that crash happen. Everything that happens in this universe, I'm the one who makes it possible." Mary couldn't believe what she was hearing. It seemed too unbelievable. Even if it was true that Manny had drawn the crash before it occurred, maybe it was all just a strange accident, a figment of her imagination. But as she was lost in thought, Manny continued, his voice eerily calm. "What do you think brought you here to me? It was me. I'm the one who pulled you out of New York and into this town." Stunned, Mary could barely process what he was saying, but then Manny told her something even more disturbing. "There's a gun in your desk drawer. If you want, you can check it now." Mary's heart raced as the words sank in. She was convinced that Manny was deeply disturbed and suffering from some extreme mental delusion. His words seemed too far-fetched to be real, so she chose to ignore them. She didn't check her drawer, dismissing it as as just another bizarre claim from a troubled child. Sometime later, the monthly meeting of all the doctors took place at the office. During the meeting, Mary was told that she is the first therapist to have gotten Manny, the strange boy, to speak. No one had ever heard him talk before, so for the team, this was considered a victory. Mary, however, expressed her concern about Manny's unsettling comments and requested to read the report from the previous therapist who had worked with him. Her boss assured her that they would provide the report from earlier this month soon. That night, Mary met up with Kiren, her only friend in this new town. During their time together, Kiren admitted that he was starting to have feelings for her. However, due to her painful past, Mary hesitated. Later, Mary found herself alone, reflecting on her past when she had been happily married to her husband Josh in New York. They had loved each other deeply, but one day, while they were traveling, their car broke down. They accepted a ride from an elderly man, but during the trip, the car crashed into a tree. In that terrible accident, both the old man and Josh were killed, leaving Mary as the sole survivor. It was this tragedy that drove her to this small town, hoping to escape the painful memories of her husband. Kiren, sensing Mary's sadness, began spending more time with her. He even showed her his boat, and during their time together, Mary opened up, telling him the full story of how she had come here to forget her husband's death. Kiren listened and encouraged her to let go of the past and move forward with her life. The next day, while Mary was in her office, she decided to check the drawer Manny had mentioned. To her shock, she found a gun inside, just as Manny had told her the day before. In the next meeting, Mary reports the discovery of the gun in her drawer to her senior colleagues. Near, one of her superiors, explains that before her, another doctor had been treating Manny. However, that doctor's mental health had deteriorated to the point where he ended up in a mental hospital himself. Near suggests that the gun likely belonged to this previous doctor. The seniors also refused to give Mary access to the old doctor's reports, stating that since his mental state was unstable, the reports are unreliable. Frustrated but determined, Mary decides to investigate Manny's case on her own. Through her research, she uncovers that Manny's father died in a tragic accident, and soon after, his mother committed suicide. Manny was later found in a terrible state in their home and was eventually adopted by another woman. Mary becomes increasingly curious about why Manny consistently creates such violent and disturbing drawings. During their next therapy session, Manny asks Mary if the gun scared her. Mary, trying to maintain control, pretends to be unfazed and responds that there was nothing for her to be afraid of. But Manny's mood shifts and he becomes visibly angry. He quickly sketches a drawing of a man drowning and, underneath it, writes the name Kiren. Mary is shocked because that same night, she and Kiren had planned to go sailing on his boat. She is even more disturbed by the fact that Manny somehow knew about Kiren, even though she had never mentioned him to the boy. Troubled by these strange coincidences, Mary starts investigating further. She discovers that the doctor who treated Manny before her had gradually become obsessed with him, drawn deeper into the mysteries surrounding Manny and his drawings. Mary, now completely disturbed by the events surrounding Manny, stumbles upon an old notebook that belonged to the previous doctor. Inside, she finds a chilling note. Nothing is real except Manny. Fueled by frustration and fear, Mary goes to Manny's house in anger and demands to know how he knew Kiren's name. Manny refuses to answer her. Exhausted and fed up with the strange occurrences, Mary finds another one of Manny's drawings, this time depicting someone being shot. Terrified, she rushes to Kiren's boat to warn him of the looming danger. But when she arrives, Kiren is nowhere to be found. Then she remembers Manny's earlier drawing of a man drowning. Frantic, Mary searches everywhere for Kiren but can't find him. Feeling hopeless, she returns home, only to see breaking news on television about a flood that hit a part of town, killing around 2,500 people. The flood matches another one of Manny's earlier drawings, in which he had depicted thousands of people drowning, with the number 25 ominously marked on it. Mary realizes that these drawings are not just random sketches, they're premonitions, and everything Manny draws is coming true. Determined to uncover the truth, the next day Mary sneaks into her boss's office, hoping to find the old doctor's full report on Manny. However, her boss catches her in the act and reprimands her, revealing that he knows she had visited Manny's house and scolded him. As a result, Mary is suspended for a few days, with her boss suggesting that her mental state is deteriorating, just like the previous doctors had. He warns her to take care of herself before things spiral out of control. Desperate for answers, Mary visits the mental hospital where the old doctor, McVitie, is now staying. When she meets him, McVitie keeps repeating the same disturbing line. "Nothing is real except Manny. We have to kill Manny. and then everything will be fine. His words unnerve Mary, and as they speak, McVitie grows increasingly agitated. Suddenly, McVitie leaves their conversation abruptly. Mary follows him and remembers one of Manny's drawings in which someone jumps from a tall building. Panicking, she chases after McVitie, but before she can stop him, he leaps to his death, just as Manny had drawn it. Horrified, Mary finally understands that Manny is no ordinary child. His drawings are manifesting into reality, and if Manny's predictions continue, Kiren's life is in immediate danger. She frantically tries calling Kiren, but his phone remains off. With no other choice, she rushes back to the docks where Kiren's boat is moored, convinced that Manny's drawing of a drowning man means Kiren is next. To prevent the tragedy, Mary unties the rope, securing Kiren's boat, hoping that without the boat, Kiren won't be able to meet his fate in the water. Mary, now overwhelmed and desperate, quickly returns to her office. She retrieves all of Manny's drawings from the hospital records, determined to figure out what will happen next by examining his sketches. As she flips through them, she is horrified to discover that every tragic event that has occurred, every accident and death, had already been drawn by Manny in detail. One particular drawing grabs her attention. It shows a man sleeping on a sinking boat. The realization hits Mary like a wave. She had untied Kiren's boat, thinking it would save him. But what if Kiren had been sleeping on it when she did? Panicked, she races back to the docks, only to find that it's too late. The rain is pouring heavily, and by the time she arrives, the boat has already capsized. Police are pulling Kiren's lifeless body from the water. Despite all her efforts, Manny's drawing had come true, and Kiren is dead. This final blow breaks Mary. She loses all control, her mind spinning with the haunting words of the old doctor. Manny's death is the only way to stop all of this. Fueled by grief, rage, and a desperate need for answers, Mary heads straight to Manny's house. She drags him out, forces him into her car at gunpoint, and demands that he tell her who he really is and how he is making all of these terrible things happen. But Manny remains eerily silent. Determined to get the truth, Mary drives to an old abandoned building. With Manny at gunpoint, she threatens him, warning that if he doesn't explain everything, she will kill him. Finally, Manny speaks. He admits that everything happening around them is his doing, but Mary is part of it too. He tells her that she is not just a passive victim in these events, she is a partner in them. Manny explains that Mary found the gun in her drawer because she chose to open it. She untied Kiren's boat, allowing the accident to happen. In other words, her actions played a role in making Manny's drawings come true. Time has rewound, taking Mary back to the moments after her car accident years ago. But this time, something is different. Her husband Josh is alive. He sits beside her in the hospital holding her hand, which means that Mary has somehow traveled back in time and created a new timeline. In this version of events, Josh survived the accident. They return home together from the hospital and life seems normal. They begin to live peacefully, but soon Mary starts having disturbing flashes of memories from the previous timeline. The one where Josh had died and all the strange events with Manny had unfolded. One night, unable to shake these vivid memories, Mary confides in Josh, telling him that she feels like she has lived this moment before, but things happened differently in another life. She describes the previous timeline, how Josh had died and how she had been caught in a terrifying spiral involving Manny and his drawings. Josh listens patiently, but dismisses it as just a bad dream, trying to comfort her and help her sleep. The next day, however, the strange feeling of deja vu doesn't leave Mary. She decides to make a call to her old workplace in New York, hoping to find some answers. As soon as she speaks with an employee, she realizes she knows everyone there, even though she shouldn't. Confused and curious, Mary, without telling Josh, heads back to the small town she had visited in the previous timeline. When she arrives at the mental health office, where she had once worked, no one recognizes her. In this new timeline, Mary had never come to this town, had never taken on Manny's case, and had no history there. Determined to find out what happened to Manny in this timeline, Mary starts asking the office staff about him, but no one seems to know anything. Desperate for answers, Mary sneaks into the archive room of the office, searching through old files until she finally finds Manny's file. But just as she opens it, Manny himself appears, standing behind her. Calmly, he says, "I never sent you to the past, Mary. I didn't change your future. You did." Manny's words leave her stunned. He explains that Mary has always had the power to shape her own reality, whether she realizes it or not. The world she exists in is not merely dictated by Manny's drawings, but by her own actions and perceptions. He refers to the Schrodinger's cat thought experiment, explaining that in this universe, events only become real when they are observed. Until then, they exist in a state of possibility. According to this logic, Manny's drawings only reflect what could happen, but they only become true once Mary acts upon them or observes them. When Mary opens the file, she is shocked to find it completely blank, except for a single drawing. Manny tells Mary that if she looks at the drawing, it will come true. Mary then sees a drawing showing her husband Josh getting killed in New York in this new timeline. Since she has seen it, it means it's bound to happen. Terrified and screaming that Josh will be taken from her again, Mary runs outside. The police catch her and admit her to a mental asylum. A few days later, Manny visits her. It's then that Mary realizes that Manny needs her for his drawings to become real. Each event Manny draws requires Mary's actions to complete it. She understands that Manny has been drawing himself going to the hospital to meet her, just like when they first met. Later, during a therapy session, Mary finally pieces everything together. She tells the doctor that none of this is real, not the doctor, not the universe. Everything only exists in the mind of a 10-year-old boy, Manny. This is why Manny can't change her past or future. The old doctor was right when he said that nothing is real except for Manny, because he had figured out that this entire reality was inside Manny's mind, which he controlled. We then learn that Manny was once a happy child with his parents, but after their death, he felt like he had no control over his life. To cope, he started drawing a world where everything happened according to his wishes. This created a new reality, and Mary is a part of it. That's why Manny could send her back in time and control events, because this whole universe and everything happening is shaped by his mind. At first, Mary couldn't understand this, but now she realizes that the entire universe is just the imagination of Manny. It's an alternate reality he created to cope with his parents' death. In the real world, Manny is drawing while talking to a doctor, which mirrors what Mary is doing in this alternate reality. When Manny finally accepts his life and embraces his adoptive mother, the alternate reality Mary is in begins to fade away. This fits with the scientific idea that reality only exists as long as it's observed. Once Manny moves on, his imagined reality ends. What do you think of this mind-bending twist? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. Thank you.